Hello everybody and welcome back to the Kamidogu podcast with Christopher and Toasty.
Toasty!
We've got an incredible episode in store for you today and we can't wait to get started. But before we do, I'd like to take a quick moment to thank each and every one of you for supporting us for almost 19 years. Maybe you've been here from the beginning when we started as a humble little website. Maybe you jumped on the podcast train somewhere along the line. Or perhaps this is your first time tuning in. Either way, we are hugely appreciative of your support and ask that if you enjoy today's episode, then do us a favour and share the show. Mortal Kombat means the absolute world to us, and it's crazy to think that this is our 60th episode.
What a pleasure it is to have this episode going today. We are extremely fortunate and grateful to have somebody on the show who hasn't really been in the interview circuits much, if ever. It's a big day for classic MK fans going back to 1995. If you happen to have a soft spot for Mortal Kombat 3, the game, I can happily tell you you're in for a treat today. Friends around the world, we are thrilled to have the Michael O'Brien on this special of Kamidogu. Michael portrayed Kurtis Stryker on that specific game, donning his traditional look with that blue-white shirt and backwards cap. Without further ado, let's get this thing underway as we got a police brutality coming up. Alright, combatants, and here we are with Michael O'Brien. Oh man, it's such an honor to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Big word, honor. That's probably not the right word.
What? Are you kidding me, man?
For sure.
Look, despite Mortal Kombat being over 30 years old now, the majority of the cast from the first few games remain active with fans on social media. Now, we all know Stryker to be somewhat of a controversial character, I guess you could say, but that hasn't stopped fans questioning your whereabouts. How does it feel to finally reconnect with the Mortal Kombat community after all these years?
Really interesting. And first of all, thanks for having me, you guys. It's wild because 30 years goes by like that, and next thing you know, people are. Do you guys know Jasper? I somehow ran into him.
Yes,
I think his
legend.
Is he?
Oh yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know. You know, the last 30 years, I was living in Chicago when I started this. And the job I was in took me all over the world. I got into like high-end resort real estate sales. So I was in several different countries all over the Caribbean, Mexico, Hawaii. So I really didn't pay attention to what was going on back at what I was doing then. And it sounds like I missed a lot of fun, which is a bummer. But it feels awesome to be back again. I had forgotten about it a lot, and unfortunately, didn't pay attention to a lot of it. But when I saw Jasper's feed, I was like, "Oh my God, that's me! I can't believe it!" And I said something stupid like that, and all my buddies gave me a bunch of shit about it. But it was really fun to see it because I hadn't seen it in a long, long time.
Very nice. So how did it feel the first time you saw yourself digitized in a video game, and does it still feel a bit surreal to you when you look back?
Well, first things first, I don't know if you guys noticed. You see this nose?
Yeah.
They gave me a total nose job. The boys, I don't know if you've seen the character in a while, but that nose that's on there is not mine. They gave me a brilliant nose job. Yeah.
Whoa.
Take a closer look at it. It's kind of funny. It's a much better nose. You know when he's kind of turning and growling at the guys? He's got a great nose. I should get it done myself.
Yeah. Wow.
It's interesting. I got a big admission to make, and I hope I don't bum you guys out with this one, but I've never been I'm not a video. I think the last big video game that I was involved or that I participated in was when Atari came out with ping pong in 75. I might have played some Robotron, which was when we get baked and go play Robotron or something like that back in the 80s. But I didn't play it much. So I'd see the game. Yeah, I remember being in Mexico with a friend of mine, and there was a game in the corner of a bar. And I was like, that looks like Mortal Kombat. Let's go over there and take a look. And there are all these kids around it playing it.
Oh.
And it was really funny. I wouldn't know how to do it, and I certainly didn't say, "Hey, that's me." But I was like, "Hey, you guys, who's the best fighter on there?" And all of them had different names to say. I can't remember too many of them. And I was like, "Well, who's the worst fighter?" And they all go, "Stryker! Stryker sucks!"
Come on.
I'm not kidding you. A couple of the kids. Well, that's the way I remember it. It might have been different, but it was funny as hell. It was really funny. So
like I said, controversial, right? So.
Yeah. I'd seen the game only a couple times in the last 30 years at a couple different bars. Okay. So, I mean, I really didn't have a chance to see what he was all about. I remember he turns into a T-Rex, which I saw on Jasper's thing. But he also turns into like a little kid, right? A baby.
Yeah. Brutality. Yeah.
Brutality.
Yeah. So one of my friends got a hold of that and sent it to me just to rib me. And so I'd seen some of the stuff that he does, but I couldn't figure my way around a control board.
Yeah. What some may not know is that a character named Kurtis Stryker was originally set to appear in the first Mortal Kombat game. An idea that was later dropped in favor of its first female combatant, Sonya Blade. This African-American character concept would later turn into Jax, with the new Stryker you portrayed being made an entirely new character. Did you have any influence over his final look, backstory, or anything like that, Mike?
I wish I could say yeah. No, the guys at Midway, they had such a vision on that stuff. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they didn't ask my advice on any of that kind of stuff. I wish they did, but I wouldn't have known where to go with it. They were, those guys were really cool, and they really knew where they were going with it all. They didn't ask for any of my take on that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you originally land the role of Stryker?
Well, that's a funny quote. Well, this is 95, I think, Jasper told me. Is that about right?
Yeah. That's when it released, 95.
Okay. I was messing around Chicago. I was working at a bar. I was selling medical equipment. I was trying to get into stunt work in Chicago. There was a guy out there named Rick Lefevre, who was the stunt coordinator for the Union for a lot of movies that rolled through Chicago back then. Okay. And I knew his ex-girlfriend, and so I was trying to get into that. These are the days. You guys remember when Burt Reynolds played Hooper? Are you guys that old enough to remember that one?
Okay, Burt Reynolds, yeah.
So I thought my career was going to be in stunt work in Chicago, and I was getting little roles, beer commercials and cop commercials, believe it or not, or a role on TV as a cop and a fireman, little things like that.
I got to see this.
And you put together a resume, as I mentioned to you guys earlier. And the resume is, here's your experience, here's your body of work, what you've done, and then there's special skills. And mine was all athletic stuff. I used to play college football. So when I went in for an audition, they're like, so can you do all this shit that you mentioned on your special skills? And I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. So at the audition, I was doing backflips and front flips and kicks and punches and running and all the stuff that they wanted me to do. I was that kind of goofball back in the 90s and 80s that played hacky sack and could do a backflip when I was hacky sacking. I was that guy.
Classic.
So I went in there for that, and then they brought me back for the full audition, and they're like, yeah, you're absolutely the guy we want for this. So it was fun, and it was a crazy full day shoot against the blue screen, and just doing move after move after move.
So when you actually said you played Mortal Kombat, but you said you couldn't really get a hang of the controls and stuff like that, did you in fact choose your character? Do you remember what character you were? Or
even more than that, I had Kurtis Stryker fight Kurtis Stryker.
So good.
I think I was playing somebody who also picked him. So that was fun. Yeah.
And so you've seen some of the newer interpretations of Mortal Kombat like lately, like the.
No.
With all
God, I hate to admit, no, I have not.
Oh, okay.
If you guys mentioned what they were, I wouldn't even know. I remember, because back in the day, they used to invite us to do, I think, even an audition for the movie. There was a Mortal Kombat movie, correct?
Yeah.
And I think, I can't recall, my memory could be really hazy on this. I don't even know if Stryker was in the movie. But they had invited, because I got an email from my agent at the time saying that Mortal Kombat was auditioning, but I can't recall if I got an invite. I don't remember if he was even in the movie, but they had invited a lot of the people around Chicago who were characters to audition for the roles.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if anybody got one, but it was cool that they would, invite him to do it.
It's funny you say that because in past episodes, we have had a few people of the original cast say that, yes, they auditioned for the movie. None of them ultimately got it, but it's pretty cool that they had that opportunity, so.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I wish I knew how many more Mortal Kombats there were. The character kept changing. And then after a while, you guys would know this more than me. They eventually changed to what it would be, AI or whatever. They didn't use real people
3D.
doing all the So he got buff. I remember. Here's what stopped me from really chasing it around on social media. I got on line and I was reading some comments after Jasper said, "Hey man, you got to see it. You're all over the place. People talk about you." And I got on one of the links. I think it was Reddit or something. And I was just reading through. I was like, Stryker sucks, man. He's got. Let's get back to Stryker when he was a dad bod. And I think that was me. I'm sure it was me. What? Yeah. So I mean, that's the kind of stuff that my buddies love. To get a hold of that information. So it was funny, but I didn't want to look online for a whole lot longer.
But to be honest with you, my friend, I think Stryker is one of them cult favorites, meaning I definitely know some Stryker fans, and the ones that are fans are just hardcore loyal to that character, man.
That's awesome. I did not know that.
Oh, there are definitely some out there, man. I think he's a great character myself.
Yeah.
And by the way, when it comes to the movies, in Mortal Kombat Annihilation in 97, they actually referenced his character. So he was name dropped, but he wasn't actually featured in the movie. Okay. And I don't know if you're aware, the Kurtis Stryker character has definitely been in some other live action things like Mortal Kombat Legacy. He has a little bit of a role in there. Did you ever see that?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm breaking your heart.
It's okay.
Didn't. I'm so sorry I didn't. I told you. I mean, Atari was the last real game I was in on. Ping pong. In 1974.
And you know what? It still holds up, ping pong, man.
It does.
Yeah. You know what? Now that you guys have educated me on what's been going on, I'll take a look at it and see, because it's certainly interesting. I can't believe it's been 30 years. Yeah,
Kurtis actually plays a decent sized role in the episodes that he's in Mortal Kombat Legacy, it's called. He's in the first season. He's also in the second season. Heck, he's even been in what was it, Mortal Kombat Battle of the Realms, Chris? He actually has a little bit of a role in there.
Yeah, I believe so.
Animation film, which is pretty neat. So he's still around, man. He's still floating around because some people appreciate him, I'm telling you.
I love it. That's good to hear. Who knew? I'll have to pay attention. I'm not on social media that much. I mean, I don't know why. It's not. I don't need it for my business, and it drives me a little nuts being on there and reading how negative the world's gotten in so many other areas of social media. And so I'm on it to check out the babes every now and then. But other than that,
hey man, I feel ya. But for real though, there's some toxic people. So I don't blame you, man.
Yeah,
that's it. Were any of Stryker's special moves in the game improvised by you? And is there anything else that you suggested to the team? Like, I know they were pretty set on his backstory and everything, but in terms of his moveset, was that open to you at all?
Oh, you know what, fellas? Here we go with the 30-year memory again. Well, I remember kind of showing off the backflip when I was there. They're like, well, what can you really do all the stuff that you have on your special skills? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I can't remember if he even does it in the game, but I remember being in the studio doing, standing backflips and front flips. And the whips and the kicks, I think the boys really orchestrated all that stuff. But they kept me in there for, I think it was a 6-hour shoot, where you're just doing over and over and over the same thing. Just to the move that you do it, when he's sitting there getting ready to fight. I remember doing that for hours. The running it all had to be the same. The kicks, I remember my crotch hurting for a month after that because we had to do so many of that. Yeah, but yeah, it was a workout doing it for him. But I think we were all a little in better shape in our young years. I'm almost 60. I'm 59, so it's it feels different. I can barely make it to the bathroom on time anymore.
So just to confirm, did you say it took just one day of shooting? How long total did it take to shoot everything?
That's what I remember. Yeah, I mean, it was Midway Studios in Chicago. They had the big blue screen. They had mats all over the place. And I remember, I could be wrong, but I remember going there for pretty much 6 hours and just doing every move you see him making over and over and over. The best take of several different moves, flips and kicks and punches and running and everything he does. Not turning into a kid or dinosaur. But
I was going to ask, was that wasn't you, right?
Yeah, I don't recall that. Yeah.
Yeah, because we've heard some ideas that were ultimately scrapped, and this was due to memory limitations and things like this. Do you remember performing anything at all extra, I guess, besides the backflips? Or did you perhaps use any different weapons that didn't make it into the game? Because we have the gun, when we have the riot stick and things like that. Do you have any fun memories with that stuff?
Well, the gun was a last minute thing. Or they didn't bring it in until the end of the shoot. The twirling of the gun. I remember they were trying to figure out what how everybody has kind of a signature kill that I remember.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The twirling of the gun and that. I remember that kind of being the last thing they figured out because they didn't know what I was going to do. They didn't know what I should do, and we did a few different crazy things trying to figure out what that move would be. I'd be making them up if I told you what they were. But then when they came up with I ended up seeing that on the game and going, oh, okay, that's what they figured that out to be, which is cool.
Oh, sorry. With the twirl, did you say you improvised that?
No, I think they came, 30 years ago. Let me take credit for that. Yeah, I did that. That was all me. Eddie's not going to take me on, right?
Did you get to keep anything from your stint as Stryker, like any of the clothing or props or anything?
Did you guys see that uniform?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't need any of it. No. It was a pretty funky looking outfit. I mean, it ended up being blue on the game, right?
Yeah.
But Jasper sent me a picture of the shirt, and I had seen some shot that somebody took behind the scenes, and it was a red and white shirt. And I don't know if you can tell what kind of material it is. It's horrible material. And they were cargo, kind of military pants, big boots, the stick, the gun, a belt, and that goofy hat that so many people gave me crap about. But no, there was nothing in it. I don't remember if they needed it, but I didn't walk away with any of it.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Do you still keep in touch with any of the original cast or crew?
God, I wish I did. I left Chicago not too long after that in '98, moved to Park City, Utah. And you know what? Because I remember vaguely who was and I'm sorry I don't know this, guys. Who is the blonde girl in the game? The tall blonde girl.
Sonia?
Oh, wait, Carrie Hoskins?
Carrie Hoskins?
It might have been Carrie Hoskins. So she might have left right before I got there. Is she tall, skinny number, blonde, long blonde hair?
Yeah.
Very good looking.
I remember her leaving
Very
the studio.
Good looking.
Yeah. Really good looking. I remember her leaving the studio, but I just got a glimpse of her walking away, which was great. And and that's it. Because, I mean, everybody did the big studio, the blue screen, all the shots. Everybody was doing it on their own. So we never really overlapped with anybody. But I think I remember seeing her walking away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She was a Chicago girl. I think a lot of those guys were probably.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
When you were actually working, do you remember getting close with anybody at the time?
Well, God, I mean, unfortunately, I didn't have a relationship with any of the other fighters. I didn't know any of them. Again, we all shot at different times. The guys at Midway, clearly we had a ton of fun while I was there with them doing the shoot. They were really cool. They take great care of you. They knew exactly what they wanted, what it was going to be. And so there was no doing a lot of acting stuff around Chicago at the time. A lot of producers and directors, they're winging it in a lot of cases. They don't really know, they just kind of want to see what you're going to do so you can kind of work your way through it and maybe add something to it. These guys knew exactly what they wanted. They wanted specific things from me, and it made it real easy as, a guy who wasn't a martial arts guy or any of that stuff. They just said, here's what we need you to do. You're capable of doing it. Let's do this. And you're done, which is great.
Yeah. What was your reaction to seeing John Tobias's initial drawing of the character? Did you find it pretty neat? He must have showed you the drawing.
He did. It was different, as I recall, than it ended up being. He didn't tell me about the nose job he was going to give me. But, but I was happy with it. I thought he did a good job. Yeah, it's cool. And it seems like he gets, the guy gets better looking every year, and he gets more buff every year, right? It's all that stuff looks really cool. Every year it just gets better and better looking from what I've seen.
Yeah, just a side question. Why did they give you a nose job?
Well, I don't know. Can you guys see what I'm dealing with over here?
Oh, come on.
Well, take a look. Can you guys pull it up? And I mean, they made it a tougher looking. They made it look like a dude who's been punched in the face a bunch.
Oh,
you know what I mean? He's got like a flat nose. I got kind of a shark tail nose. It just looks like a guy who's been popped in the face a few times. It's a great looking nose. I remember seeing it going, wow, man, I should talk to a doc and get that done for myself. It was an upgrade. I'll put it that way. It was a total upgrade.
There you go. At the time of filming, did you find it intriguing at all that Stryker was unlike any other character in that he didn't have any sort of magical abilities and that he relied solely on his right squad gear?
At the time of filming, I'm totally honest with you guys. I didn't know. I didn't know any of that stuff. But in kind of seeing it and reading about it recently and lately, I think it's really cool. Yeah, I didn't know that. I had no idea he was a mortal against all these guys. So that's really cool, especially in today's world, where everything's CG and all these mortals going up against that. Those are cool characters on TV and movies. So I'm psyched about that. That's great.
Right on, man. Now, what were some of the biggest challenges you would say while tackling this combatant? We've often heard of situations where clothing was incredibly uncomfortable. Like you said, it was pretty cheaply made. Stuff would fall off, or it would constrict one's abilities to maneuver, etc.
We just kind of talked about the outfit. I mean, it's jump forward 30 years. With the kind of outfit they would give you would be so much more functional. I mean, I couldn't tell you what kind of fabric it was, but it's an effort to throw high kicks in those kind of pants, right? And to roll around. The thing doesn't breathe. Yeah. If Under Armour sponsored Stryker back in the 80s and 90s, it'd be a whole different deal, right?
Do you remember anything ripping or anything like this?
That's a good question. I wish I did. I remember there being a few different wardrobe malfunctions.
Oh,
but
yeah?
I just can't specifically remember what they were. But yeah, they were always altering it, re-sewing. That shirt was made for the shoot.
Yeah.
Because it was three pieces. If you look closely at that picture, Jasper sent, it's the goofiest looking shirt. It was completely made. There's red on white on black, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And you could tell it was sewn together like an hour before the shoot. So I remember that kept busting up whenever you'd hit the mat. You'd crack something up and they'd have to re-sew it. So little things like that. The hat's always popping off, and that had to stay on.
Oh I was going to ask that.
Yeah, that was always popping off. That was a goofy little. You do a flip, you do anything, any kind of kick, and boom, it pops off, which would have been funny in the game. They should have let that happen. He's always picking up his hat.
It would have been a meme.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Now, you mentioned that you were only sort of there for a day, but were there any sort of funny moments or great memories that you can recall?
Good Lord, you guys. I mean, how old are you guys?
Almost 40.
Almost 40, yeah.
Almost 32.
I'm dealing with a little older cranium. I just remember the guys being real cool and real pleasant and, again, knew what they wanted. And they took good care of all of us, and my God, they were very generous with the payments and all that. I mean, I would have random checks show up out of nowhere, be able to take all my buddies to dinner. They were just really good guys the way they did everything. If I ever circled through Chicago, I'd love to swing by and try to find those guys. I'm rarely there anymore.
Right on.
Yeah, because I was actually going to ask you, what was it like working with the creators, Ed Boon and John Tobias, more specifically? From what I heard, the entire crew used to just enjoy, steaming hot pizza all the time. Did you eat a lot of pizza?
I don't remember that, if they did or not. I saw that you guys had mentioned that. I'm sure they did. Midway Studios are cool. I used to work right around the corner, so it was really convenient to find. And again, the guys just set a wonderful environment for actors and athletes to go in there and do their thing. They always took good care of. I'm sure they fed us. So I guarantee that's not a rumor. That's probably very true. The dementia is setting in. I can't recall exactly.
Dementia.
I can't recall the toppings. But yeah, super cool guys, and took really good care of all of us.
Wicked.
Very nice. So you mentioned before that you sort of played the game a little bit, and you sort of pitted Stryker against himself.
Yeah.
But do you remember ever sort of playing as any other characters? And when was the last time you ever really picked up a controller and, played the game?
Isn't that heartbreaking? I think I've only played it in 30 years once or twice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I saw it in Mexico once, and then I can't remember somewhere else. So I'm just one of those guys who doesn't play. The funniest part about it, I think I've got 2 times of seeing what he can do, and I was just kind of jumbling the controls around and seeing, he was doing everything, but I wouldn't know my way around it. So unfortunately, I just haven't done it in a long time. Maybe twice total.
Yeah.
Brutal. I'm sorry. I know it's a video game show, so
no, that's all right.
It's just I just never. I hear there's some good ones out there too. On top of this one, I just have never done it. Usually outside, trying to run around, lose the weight, get down below a 36.
Look, trust me, my friend, you're not the first one. We have met so many people on this podcast now that just don't really bother with games at all. So, it's nothing new there. But I don't know if you are aware of this. Kurtis Stryker is actually a cameo fighter in the most recent game, and he bears a striking resemblance to you.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Like dad bod Stryker, or like face with the...
Maybe you have to take another look.
Punched in nose.
The face is relatively similar. He's got the hairdo and stuff like that. He's got his traditional look. You should check it out, or maybe we'll send you something.
Yeah, send me something. I'd love to see it. That's great.
Yeah.
No, I hadn't seen it. Didn't even know there was one. So that'd be cool to see.
Yeah. I got another question too. Did you, by small chance, happen to ever run into anybody, before this podcast that were like, hey, you look familiar. You must have played Stryker or something like that. Did you ever run into anybody?
Well, here, let me tell you the coolest part about being Kurtis Stryker. This was worth all the weight in gold. So I wasn't one of those kind of guys who really went out after getting a TV commercial or something like this and tell everybody. I just wasn't. I used to do it just for money, and I used to actually try to get hemorrhoid commercials to crack my buddies up, and Beano commercials. Those are the things I wanted on my resume. So all the other stuff I got, I just didn't talk about it much. I'd love to be, I was in a beer commercial, and I showed up on the Super Bowl, and I was at a Super Bowl party, and they're all looking at me like, is that you dick? Come on. So I like when people find out stuff like that. But here's the greatest part about being Stryker. So I was, I think it was maybe even late 90s. The game was out. Kids were all over. It was very popular, as you guys know. And all my buddies, if I went over to their house for dinner or a party, one of the dads would tell them, hey, that's Stryker from Mortal Kombat. And the next thing you know, 20 kids would come and tackle me and fight me for 30 minutes. And I'd never get out from under these kids climbing all over me, fighting me.
No way.
That to me was the funnest part about the whole thing. It was really cool.
Wow.
Really cool how it can have an effect like that.
Yeah, I love that part of it. That was a lot of fun.
That's pretty cool. So look, we're going to jump to the last segment of our show now, which we call
Final Round.
So what we're going to do in this final round is just ask you some quick questions, get to know you a little more. So the first question being, do you have a favorite hobby, Michael?
Favorite hobby? Well, I'd have to say right now, hot yoga.
Hot yoga?
Yeah. I'm a big-time golfer. I mean, I'm still trying to get outside as much as I can. So I play a lot of golf. I ski and snowboard quite a bit. Go to hot yoga. And it's just trying to keep my body moving, man, because I am one of those guys who likes to sit on the couch, and I could totally melt into the couch. So I try to get off it as much as I can.
How long have you been snowboarding now?
I lived in Park City back in 2002, and I started snowboarding in 2002, and still doing it as much as I can.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Can you do like any particular moves or anything like that? Going off jumps?
No, are you kidding? I can barely turn my head. Didn't I tell you guys?
Barely turn my head.
I can stay upright on the board for a while. That's about it. No, I'm not your age, dude. Come on.
Man, I tried it once and I landed funny and my knee bent the wrong way. And after that, I was like, nah, never again.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
The wipeouts on that thing are worse than
Brutal.
getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Yeah.
What's your favorite food?
Well, I'm a big-time junk guy. I live across the street from a hamburger joint, so I'll have a double cheese for breakfast a lot of times.
Beautiful.
Pizza, spaghetti, anything like that. I'm a Chicago boy, so a good pizza, a great burger, and anything Italian. Bring it on.
Italian's the best. It really is the best cuisine in my opinion.
Absolutely.
How do you like your pizza? Just pep and cheese?
I love a real thin, like a cracker thin.
Okay.
And, which is anti-Chicago, really. That's a deep dish city.
Yeah.
But
New York,
throw the
right?
meat on there. Yeah, bring on the sausage and the pepperoni all day.
Nice.
Here's a funny one. If aliens tried to communicate with you, what would you tell them?
Wow. What would I tell aliens if they'd come down? Well, let's go ahead and stop with the anal probing right off the bat. Let's throw that one out. I don't know what you guys are on there for, but once we got through that, I'd probably try to introduce them to the greater things in this country, The pizzas, the burgers. Once you guys get into this instead of all that other stuff.
Yeah,
I think they're here, man. I don't know if you guys are. That's another thing I search for on social media is all the alien stuff. It's coming. I think they might be here. So maybe Stryker needs to put on his hat and come out and do some fighting again.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's funny because me and Chris are actually really into the realm of the paranormal and extraterrestrials, ufology, stuff like that. So, I'm very open to that stuff. There's so much evidence out there, and to be ignorant and say all of it's complete bullshit, I think that's just silly. A lot of them, they've just proven so many things, and so I think there's something going on.
I do too. I mean, if you're on, unfortunately, all the stuff that you see, it's so quick, and there's never a clear shot, But
360p camera,
right? There's enough stuff to keep you interested. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Mike, what are some of your secret talents?
My secret talents. Oh my Lord. God, I wish you asked me this 10 years ago. What's a secret talent? I don't know if I have any anymore. My God. Staying awake really past 9 o'clock. If I can do that, I'm freaking golden. 9 o'clock, if I'm not asleep, that's about all I got anymore.
I know the feeling, man. I was at a friend's house last week and it got to like 9:45 and he's like, man, I'm going to have to call it. I'm starting to get a bit sleepy, huh?
Yeah. Wait for another 10 years, dude. You're looking at your watch from 8:30 on going, can I do it? Can I go?
So I'm going to assume you're an early bird. What time do you usually get up around?
Yeah, I am. If I'm not drinking, which I'm really not anymore, I'm up brutally early. I'm up at 4, 5. I'll try to go back down, but I'll fire up some coffee and try to get up and going. That's probably why I go down so early, but I try to squeeze in as much as I can these days. I'm selling real estate these days, and so I'm on my own schedule, which is great,
Yeah.
So the boss calls and you're looking on the remote control saying, well, I'm at meetings till 4. I'll get back to you in a few hours. And
meanwhile, he's watching Baywatch.
Yeah, I got Baywatch and the Baywatch, and then the Real Housewives of Salt Lake. I mean, the lineup is classic.
If a genie granted you 3 wishes, what would they be, Mike?
Well, I mean, do you guys want me to go materialistic guy? Let's go that way, just because I don't want to think ethereally anyway.
Sure.
I mean, I'd have to go for the big dollars, so that I can help my buddies out, right? Love helping my buddies out.
Of course.
That's always a big one, right? I mean, what is this show rated? Do you have a young demographic?
All sorts, I think.
All sorts, yeah.
I don't want to. I mean, what are they? Money, power, and sex, right? I think that's the holy trinity for what a guy looks for these days.
That's right.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's good, actually. It's a good way to name this episode, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I wish you would have sent me some of this information. I'd come up with some more spiritual answers, but I'm not in that headspace right now.
Hey, that works for me.
Did you say the 3rd wish? I forget.
Money, power, and sex, I guess.
Okay.
Well,
In that order,
that's probably all the same anyway.
Exactly.
I'd only need one wish, yeah.
Here's a little side one. Do you have a guilty pleasure, Mike?
Right now?
Besides Baywatch. What's that?
Do you know what this is?
Zin?
Citrus.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is?
No.
So I used to chew tobacco because I was a football player, and you're in the lot. So this is nicotine without tobacco.
Okay.
Okay.
Right? So that's on, and it's so stupid, but I'm on it, and it's hard to get off of.
Yeah.
So right now, I mean, I'm Irish, so boozing was a big thing for me, but I'm currently off it, so I'm
good for you, man.
Yeah.
Good for you. Actually, funny enough, my buddy Eric does the same thing. He used to be a heavy drinker. He stopped, and now he's chewing that kind of stuff as well.
It's stupid, but it's, I'm one of those guys who seems to always be hooked on something. Whether it's really bad or if something this stupid.
And for us nerds, it's just Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, good. You're smarter than me. You're smarter than me. I might have to plug in my phone, guys.
That's all right.
Okay.
All right, and final question. What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Wow. Best piece of advice. I think that's a good question. Just relax. Focus on what you're trying to do. Be nice to people. Life isn't that complicated, You don't need that much to go through life and be successful. A little bit of concentration, a little bit of confidence. Relax, chill out, and treat people well.
Well said,
Very
brother.
nice.
Well said.
Thank you.
Well, again, it's just been nothing but a pleasure having you on the show, man. You're a really cool guy, got a sense of humor, so it's just been great. And we hope to talk with you shortly there, and maybe even have you again on the show sometime. So
yeah, call anytime. Now that we found each other, guys, I'm at your disposal. So thanks for having me. A real pleasure meeting you guys.
For sure. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, brother.
Peace.
Thanks.
See you guys.
Peace. All right, MK family, that will do it for episode 60. For the true OGs, thanks for staying tuned in for as long as you have. To all the newcomers, I hope you had a blast. And we'll see you in the next one. It's always a joy to have some of the classics on the show. We have a couple more episodes in the pipeline, and we can't wait to throw them your way. Damn it, I wish I had a fake grenade. Either way, much love, and you know how it goes. Have fun, stay safe, and
stay flawless.